what is the role of a designer in a web application?
Okay, the role of the designer is to decide what the app should be. So, what is the app for? Who's it for? What should it do? How should it do it?
Okay.
What should the different screens be? And how should you click on this screen to get from this screen to there? What should the words be? What is the language? All of that stuff is the job of the designer.
Okay, great. You said that a designer is not an artist. Could you expand a little more?
Sure. A designer can be an artist, but here we're talking with web application developers. So applications, the designer, there's kind of two different words of designer. We have the idea of a designer who makes posters, you know, and that's an artist for sure. And also the designer is thinking about things like color and making stuff look good, and there's an art to that too. But also we have this word design, where we talk about designing software app. And when we talk about designing software, we're talking about like, what are the pieces and why are they there and what are they for and how do you use it? Yeah.
Okay, why is it so important that a designer and a developer has to work together on the same source code?
Yeah, well, if the designer and the developer don't work together, then what happens is the designer can't change anything. So the designer has one chance to tell the developer what they think should happen, and then after that they lose control. So if the designer and the developer are working together, then the designer all the time as stuff is getting built can keep seeing how it could be better. So then as they see how it could be better, they can keep making changes. Yeah.
And what is the margin that they must work on? Looking at the source code on your model, you worked out for the design, they both have to work from either from the view and from the controller. What is the margin that you say they've got to?
Oh, sure. Like how far into the programming should the designer go?
Exactly.
Yeah, it depends on their comfort level. Okay. You know, when the designer starts, they'll probably see that the things look just like HTML that they're used to, but also there's some programming in there that they don't know about. And if they don't like programming, then well, maybe they're in the wrong business. But they probably know enough about it that they might get curious about it and think, how does that work? And start to notice some patterns and just use a little bit of the stuff that they've noticed. You know. But if they want to, they can ask the programmer, hey, how does this work? And how does that work? And then they can get a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper like that.
What kind of tools do you suggest in
tools.
interface design?
For me, I just use a text editor. So I use Vim. It's a little bit of a nerdy tool. People love TextMate. TextMate is a normal text editor that has a lot of power and people like it a lot. So I would probably be more keen to recommend that than Vim, but I just hate using the mouse. And for me, it's just Vim and the web browser, you know, and then, you know, of course, if you want to have the Rails app running, you need to have the sort of Unixy stuff to make that run. But you know, the programmer can help you figure out what you should have running because it's not so clear. Yeah.
And what kind of knowledge do you think a designer should have to work on a Rails project?
Yeah, well, in order to work on a Rails project, the best knowledge the designer can have coming in is actually understanding the separation between HTML and CSS. If they know that really clearly, then they're going to be able to step into Rails because they're going to understand the idea of different layers. That's probably the main thing. Yeah. Other than that, it's just a matter of interest.
Yes. Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Ryan Singer and Mr. Foster from Portland. GotThingsDone.com.